Am I the asshole for telling my wife that she needs to seriously work on her mental and physical toughness? My wife, 32 female and I, 34 male, went to the gym yesterday morning, and at some point my wife, we'll call her Laura, scratched her finger on something. Laura has a history of being selectively sensitive to pain and discomfort. She is a strong and capable woman that I love, but if it's 80 degrees with a breeze, Laura will talk herself into it being too cold to stay outside. The joke between us is, she is like the Princess and the Pea story. These things happen often. I am not exaggerating in the slightest when I say this time the cut was less than half a centimeter wide and 2 millimeters across, just surface level, no larger than a paper cut. Later that night, she remembered the cut and had what I would describe as a meltdown. She said her finger pain was throbbing. She was feeling nauseous from the pain and said it was becoming too much. I offered to clean it with hydrogen peroxide, but she said it would hurt too much. I said it bubbles but doesn't burn like alcohol, and you need to clean it if you cut it on gym equipment, because it's dirty. As soon as I put a few drops of hydrogen peroxide on it, she collapsed to her knees and said she could not continue. I admit I got a little upset at the theatrics, but it was nothing new at this point. Then, after I rinsed the wound in the sink, she is still on her knees crying, I told her I was going to get Neosporin and a Band-Aid, to which she begged me not to add Neosporin because it would hurt. I explained to Laura that Neosporin actually would cause no pain and even add potential relief. She yelled when I put it on and nearly fainted. At this point, I was a little upset and potentially the asshole. I tried to explain to Laura that her body was very resilient, and she is a tough person because I've seen it in our workouts and the way she can work through brutal work challenges and environments. However, she needs to work on her psychological hang-up on discomfort like this. We want to have kids in next 2 years. And in all honesty, I don't think she can handle childbirth right now. I said it's something we can work on together. But to start, she needs to get serious and adopt the mentality that her body can handle a lot. I told her it's upsetting that she seems to just give up and surrender to any pain, like she has no will to shake it off. What example would we be setting for our child? What would happen if you were injured and needed to get help without me? We ended up getting into an argument about this. I feel like an asshole, but I don't know how I could have approached this differently. First, I would like to thank everyone for sharing their thoughts and suggestions. Second, I would like to clarify that I am one of those lucky few that married someone they consider their soulmate. Despite my comments coming across as callous and patronizing, I love and care for my wife tremendously, and I don't believe she sees it that way. However, I'm here for that outside perspective. I'll be with my wife until I'm dead, or she finds someone better, even if that means carrying her around for the next 80 years. Lastly, while we have visited doctors in the past, we may not have placed enough value on getting another opinion. That is something I will bring up with my wife again. I do not typically hold an opinion when it comes to my wife's medical care. I believe I may have an old-fashioned approach to doctors, as I have had some bad experiences with misdiagnosis and overprescribed treatments. My attitude when it comes to my wife has always been to get the care that she thinks she needs, as I cannot make that decision for her. We both acknowledge there are differences in the way we pursue medical care. I have never suggested her symptoms or desire to meet with a doctor were not legitimate. When she had not gotten to a diagnosis from doctors and they suggested treating it like it was nervousness or anxiety, we both kind of considered it psychological, a pain in the ass, but not overly serious and something we could work on. As my post here would suggest, that is easier said than done. It's a huge gray area trying to figure out if you are being too controlling or if you are enabling. My wife does not have red hair. Till, hydrogen peroxide is no longer recommended for cleaning wounds. As a woman who's been repeatedly and extensively dismissed for lifelong problems in the past, I appreciate everyone pointing to possible neurological type disorders that affect pain. But you guys are missing the key point here. She didn't cut herself and immediately experienced terrible, overwhelming, excessive agony. No, she cut herself in the morning, and then at night she remembered the cut and proceeded to have a meltdown. I'm not a doctor, but personally, I don't know of any pain disorder that lies in wait for 10+ hours, assuming, and then ignites only when you notice the injury again. I don't think going to another physician is the answer here, man. Not the asshole. And since you really love her and seem willing to tolerate this, I hope the best for you. But this made me feel impatient just reading it. The Neosporin bit particularly got me. LMAO. It's my go-to for any injury, not just because of the antibiotic properties, but it's a topical pain reliever for crying out loud. There are neurological conditions that would explain your wife's seemingly extreme reaction to sensations the rest of us would consider non-painful. If you haven't explored those with a specialist, maybe it's time. I think asking her to shake it off of you haven't discussed it with a doctor would make you're the asshole. Your wife is experiencing extreme distress. Take her seriously. She is 34, not a child. Why are you not asking why she hasn't realized her reaction is extreme and hasn't been seeking medical help? You can't help an adult who doesn't want to change. Because it's her normal? It's like the grown man who mentioned casually that he loves apples but gets tired of the tingly feeling in his lips. Turns out it was an allergic reaction, but for him it was just how things are. I'm not going to call you the asshole because I absolutely could not live with that amount of drama on a regular basis, but you should probably consider either getting her to see a doctor for her pain tolerance issues or getting her to see a therapist. In the meantime, let her deal with her own injuries. If she complains about how much pain she's in, offer to either give her Tylenol or take her to the ER, but otherwise leave her alone to melt down. If she stops getting attention for them, she might stop doing it. Either way, you're right about kids. Even if there were any way in hell she could survive pregnancy, let alone childbirth, you'd risk having her turn your kids into neurotic hypochondriac messes. Not the asshole. These comments are wild. Well, that's another episode of Am I the Asshole in the books. I really appreciate all of you who made it this far into the video. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.